All right, here we go. Let's see what we have today. Startle the snakes. That's interesting. You can sit back and read the signs, or you can actively work to uncover your enemies. In the Bible, we read of David's suspicion that his father-in-law, King Saul, secretly wanted him dead. How could David find out? He confided his suspicion to Saul's son, Jonathan, his close friend. Jonathan refused to believe it, so David suggested a test. He was expected at court for a feast. He would not go. Jonathan would attend and pass along David's excuse, which would be adequate but not urgent. Sure enough, the excuse enraged Saul, who exclaimed, "Send at once and fetch him unto me. He deserves to die." David's test succeeded because it was ambiguous. His excuse for missing a feast could be read in more than one way. If Saul meant well towards David, he would have seen his son-in-law's absence as no more than selfish at worst, but because he secretly hated David, he saw it as effrontery, and it pushed him over the edge. Follow David's example. Say or do something that can be read in more than one way, that may be superficially polite, but that could be also that ugh, but that could also indicate a slight coolness on your part, or be seen as a subtle insult. A friend may wonder, but will let it pass. The secret enemy, though, will react with anger. Any strong emotion, and you will know that there's something boiling under the surface. Daily law. As the Chinese say, beat the grass to startle the snakes. That's from the 33 Strategies of War. Strategy number 1, declare war on your enemies. The polarity strategy. Let's do another one. Tailor your flattery. Courtiers have to gain the attention of leaders and ingratiate themselves in some way. The most immediate way to do this is through flattery, since leaders inevitably have large egos and a hunger to have their high self-opinion validated. Flattery can do wonders, but it comes with risks. If it's too obvious, the flattery looks desperate, and it's easy to see through the strategy. The best courtiers know how to tailor their flattery to the particular insecurities of the leader and to make it less direct. They focus on flattering qualities in the leader that no one else has bothered to pay attention to, but that need extra validation. If everyone praises the leader's business acumen, but not his or her cultural refinement, you will want to aim at the latter. Mirroring the leader's ideas and values without using their exact words can be a highly effective form of indirect flattery. Daily law. Overt flattery can be effective, but has its limits. It's too direct and obvious and looks bad to other courtiers. Discreet flattery, tailored to the insecurities of your target, is much more powerful. That's from the law of human nature. The laws of human nature. Number 14, resist the downward pull of the group. The law of conformity. It's interesting. Very interesting. That's for those who are playing the game. And there is a game being played, I guess. Whether you like it or not. You're either playing the game, you are getting played by it. All right, we are warmed up and ready to go. I'm gonna spend the day with some doggies. Hopefully everybody's well behaved. This is why I love the dogs. Dogs play none of these games. That's why they're to be fully trusted at all times. This is all human shenanigans that I'm reading about. And some people do this on purpose. Some people do this not accidentally, but unconsciously. They play these angles that I'm reading in these laws. Some of them do it because they've had to learn to do it to navigate the world since childhood. They've had to deal with people and all these things, all these tactics and strategies for dealing with people. It's not that they're doing it to you with like nefarious motives behind it. It's just that that's how they've kind of learned to be growing up, just to survive. Maybe their parents were not the greatest nurturing people in the world, and maybe their friendship circles were a little bit aggressive. Who knows? But that's another thing that he says in these books. It's like not everybody does this on purpose and with malintent. But he goes on to say that there are those that do. That's why it's important to know these things, not so much so you can use them, but so you can identify them when they're being used against you. Let's have a bit. Where is it? I had to. There it is. I had to pack my bag a little different. So my drinks are in different spots. I can't tip my lunchbox over. Like I normally do. I normally have it like standing up, like to make room for other things in there. But I had to lay it flat, like the shape of the container, because it's got some pancakes in there with syrup, and I don't want the syrup to get on everything. Yeah, it's weird. All these little things I'm reading about, I've never seen them play out more often than when I was with the first animal rescue that I ever got involved with. It was so odd to see all these people behave in certain ways around certain. You'd see the change in people around certain other people, especially the founder of the organization, and when there were like donors that would come in, maybe. It's very interesting to see the other side of people's personalities when circumstances change. Especially when it went from like everybody being a volunteer to like people actually like vying for paid positions. That's when you saw everybody's true nature come out. And me and my woman, we were volunteers. I think we were the last people that were consistent staples in that organization. We were the last two to take on paid positions. To us, it didn't feel right. Knowing my paycheck came from donated money that was, originally was intended, it's intended for whatever the organization needed it for. But in my eyes, as a donor, you think it's going mostly to the dogs. But then I come to find out later, a lot of these charitable organizations, these nonprofits, most of the money they take in goes to overhead, and very little goes to, if any. Well, I would imagine legally, and I'm just guessing, I would imagine a certain percentage is required to go towards whatever the organization is focused on. I don't know if that's true, if there's a stated percentage, but from what I hear, a huge portion of these places, the donation money always just goes straight to overhead. Which on a certain level makes sense. These places have to pay for the rent for the facility, and there is employees and they do have to get paid, I guess. And maybe that's okay in donors' eyes. Especially like, we're taking care of the dogs, and I was there every day. That was well worth the money I was getting paid. I don't care what anybody says. Me and my girlfriend were very solid in what we did. So I don't feel bad about that, but I didn't know anything about nonprofits until after the fact, and then you figure out, oh, they're all kind of like, I don't know, there's a level of How would I word that? They all seem like ways to, for lack of a better phrase, launder money, I think. I mean, there's an angle from everybody's perspective. From the people that want to donate money, donating to a nonprofit, there's normally you get like a tax benefit. Like if you're rich, you don't want that money to go straight to the government. Donating it, it's a tax write-off. It's a 501c3 nonprofit organization. It's tax deductible. That's the phrase. Whatever you donate. So I guess in the minds of the people who are donating, they'd rather, oh well, I'm all for animal rights and animal, welfare. So I might as well give my money here. Then I get a write-off on my taxes. And like I said, from the perspective of the organization itself, especially with the one I was with, it's so easy to generate interest. So easy to catch eyeballs. But either way, I got a lot out of it, and I loved the experience. But when it comes to like those two little pages I read right now, beat the grass to expose the snakes, or however it was phrased, I didn't even have to do that. All I had to do was sit back and watch. Because there'd be like volunteers that would show up every once in a while. You'd see them, but then you wouldn't see them for long periods of time. But then they knew that if like a new shipment of dogs was coming in, because the organization would text out like new shipment from China or new shipment from Korea or Thailand. They'll be here by this date. There would be a lot of opportunity to grab footage for social media and whatever's like helping you get your likes and subscribes. It's like everybody's was playing an angle. And I could have been doing that too. And I was literally there every day. I probably really could have been doing that, but it just didn't occur to me to do that because I'm not that kind of person. I don't have that mentality. I'm not so inwardly focused on myself that was the priority. For me, the priority was just the dogs and their well-being and their development into adoptable family members. And everybody would come all dressed up, pretend like they're gonna walk dogs, all dressed up. Like, get out of here with this. Where were you past months? What was the other one? Oh, flattery. Being tactical with your flattery. Can't be too overt because then it looks like you're sucking up. Can't do that. Then people will know. Once they sense that in you, that's it. It's over. You can't. Anything that comes out of your mouth is suspicious. So you have to be real tactical with your words. It's crazy. That whole book, The Art of Seduction, is crazy. It's like the art of being fake, really. The art of being elegantly fake. It's making all your fakery beautiful. Not too good at that. And the problem is, I know me, if I got into it and I really wanted to apply some of this stuff, I could probably be really good at it. But something, especially that, like being purposefully fake and it's just, it feels ugly to do. I don't like that feeling, so I tend to not take any actions that would conjure that up. But anyway, still working on a couple of my documents. I got to do that today. I had to retool a gigantic prompt. It's probably like 5 paragraphs long. I stack them pretty high to get as much out of it as I can. So then I go through what it creates. And I take mental notes on what to alter later. It's funny. I wrote, the Time magazine had a special artificial intelligence edition. The whole thing's about AI and AI platforms, and so far it seems to be focusing a lot on Claude. What I've read so far, it's a lot about Anthropic and their platform Claude, which is the one I chose to use. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. That should be helpful. But right now it's getting like into the intricacies of it. Some of the tests that they've run, because they really, from what I'm reading, they really don't understand yet. They know what it does. They're not understanding how it does it, though, which is fascinating to me. Because they'll run little tests. They'll give it like, one of the tests that they ran was they gave it the first line of I guess that I think it's called a haiku. It's like a 2-line poem. I think it's called a haiku. I forget what the first line they fed it was. They told it to finish it. And they knew it could finish it, but the way it finished it, I think it kind of blew them away. It astounded them with how it rhymed a certain word, because they weren't expecting it to do what it did. So it kind of threw them for a loop in terms of how they thought what they thought they knew about how this new form of technology works. Because people think it's kind of like they think it kind of works like a search engine, where it's like predicting words that come into play for the whatever you're saying. But it doesn't do that like they thought, because how it finished the haiku was completely different than, I guess, the creativity of what it came up with was not what they were expecting. So they still don't completely understand how it's doing what it's doing, which is kind of amazing. But it's a pretty nice sized little magazine, and I have only gotten into like maybe, I don't know, 10 pages of it. It must probably be like, probably not even 10 pages in. But the whole thing's maybe, I don't know, 50, 60 pages long. Like the average size of a magazine. However big Time normally is. I don't buy Time magazine very often, but when I saw this one, I'm like, okay, I'm into artificial intelligence right now, so I'm getting this one. And it's like a special collector's edition, so I figure I might as well get it. I know there's a lot of terminology too that I don't necessarily understand with how they use it, and there's a whole glossary in there of terms that they describe, and I haven't even got to that part yet, so that'll be helpful. And I'm interested to see, because right now they're just talking about the inner workings of Claude itself, and I want to see what it starts to say about prompting, because that's my main focus right now. And I was a bit interested. I was surprised at how my buddy was surprised at how I'm prompting it. I think I talked about that in another video. He's like, the way he's using it, he's like making like, and he's doing like apps with it, but the way he's doing it's almost like if you were to build a house, he's taking one piece of wood or two pieces of wood, a nail and a hammer, and he's building that house from scratch. What I'm doing with and that's how his prompts work. And then he sees what happens, and then he gets two more pieces of wood and a couple nails and a hammer, and he starts constructing a house from scratch that way. What I'm doing with how I prompt is like I'm giving Claude the blueprint. This is the house. This is what I want. And I'm letting Claude do all the hammering and construction on its own. I'm giving it a full picture of what I have in my mind. And it just so happens that the material and the content I'm creating, I know a lot about. So I'm able to verbally illustrate to Claude the literal blueprint of my idea. And I don't know what the industry calls it, but I call it stacking. I'm prompt stacking. And you should see it's like literally paragraphs long. It's one prompt, but it's full of multiple commands at many layers, including formatting of the output, because I'm creating PDF files. So there are things you need to read. So I want the presentation to look right. I'm giving it commands on margin size, on text, formatting, the centering of text, and there's a lot, color scheme. And that's just the basics of the layout. That's not even, that's a small portion of it, because a lot of it has to, the content itself is like paragraphs long when it comes to the prompt. It is interesting. And it's still not as intricate as I could make it. But it's fun. I like doing it. So today what I need to do is I created like trying to finalize one last piece of material, but I want it to base the visual style on a previous project that I've already made. So what you can do with Claude is you can upload a file to it and have it reference that file in terms of what the new project is that you're doing. So I did that, but what it output wasn't necessarily what I wanted. But I didn't know how it was going to act anyway, so it's just kind of good to see, okay, this is what you did with that kind of command. And the good thing about it is, since it reacts like a person, you can ask it questions like, okay, like, this is what you gave me, but it's not what I asked. Why did you do what you did? How can we format this more along the lines of what I'm looking for? and you see it go. It'll go back and look at what it did, and it'll think. You can see it. You can see it's thinking. That's the part I like. Like imagine if you're having a conversation with a person, and it's like an insightful kind of conversation that does take some sort of thinking to answer questions. Imagine if there was like a thought bubble above the head of the person thinking, and you could see just lines of text as the thoughts are going through that person's head, like trying to figure out, if you, especially if you're asking for an opinion, like a deep, insightful opinion, and they're like sitting there contemplating it. There was a thought bubble, like all the thoughts, like, why do they think what they think? Is it this? That's how the AI works. You can see it doing all its thinking. So it's interesting to see it do that. Right, I'm the first one here. Okay, I have arrived safely at my destination. You know what? I'm gonna park this way today. That's what I'm gonna park this way. I'm gonna put my shades up. That way I can keep my windows down a little bit so it doesn't get so hot in here. And that's it. All right. I've arrived. Everybody have a great day. And let's go to work.